KMU8's Rachel Behrndt is live at the Capitol with the details. Rachel, what have you learned?
Jordan, behind me there was just a line of Missouri Park Ranger police cars lined up next to where lawmakers enter the Capitol. Today I spoke with a representative from the Missouri Department of Public Safety who told me they were here today assisting Capitol Police.
KMU8's Rachel Behrndt spoke to two experts and addressed student concerns as they head back to school. So Rachel, what did those experts have to tell you?
Emily, the two experts I talked to said that hybrid learning can be really difficult for some students. They have to manage two different styles of instruction, and it's pretty easy to get lost. But they also said that there are ways they can be successful. I asked DPS students to let me know what questions they had for those hybrid experts so that they can be comfortable with this new style of instruction.
In addition to those executive orders, 3 of those reversed Trump-era policies that focused on immigration. In mid-Missouri, immigrants and the organizations that help them are reacting to those changes. KMU8's Rachel Behrndt spoke to one refugee who has made Columbia home.
Ching Ching Haimyo arrived in Columbia in 2009 from Myanmar. She spoke no English then. The nonprofit City of Refuge helped her. 5 years ago, she opened this international market.
Just me and my husband, we work full-time, more than full-time.
She wants to grow her business so she can employ other refugees.
I know about more the Burmese family that who come here, how hard for them, like for work, when you don't know English, when you don't read, when you don't write. It's very hard to get a good job.
During the Trump administration, the cap for refugees entering the country was set at a record low of 15,000. Biden promises to raise that cap to more than 125,000. City of Refuge says these changes will have an impact on Columbia's refugee population.
Stances that this new administration has taken has been really exciting and really positive.
Because of the cap on refugees, many refugee resettlement offices closed partially or completely. City of Refuge expects their work to pick back up and begin welcoming more families to mid-Missouri.
This community has been made better because of these families, and we're really excited to see more families reunited, more people from similar countries or backgrounds who want to get involved with our community.
Haimyo also hopes more refugees will be able to make their way to America, just as she has.
A lot of families are separating, so if they can help the family here, yeah, that would be nice.
In Columbia, Rachel Behrndt, KMU8 News.
How to keep organized with being in two different spots learning-wise.
I think they do need spaces that are, free of distraction. That just don't have the TV playing right next to where you're trying to do school. To the extent possible, like have a place set aside at home that is set aside for learning.
Any study habits that I should be doing?
Well, one great that's free resource that I imagine a lot of students use already is Khan Academy. If there's a concept that you don't understand, they have a lot of videos on a lot of different concepts.
Any tips on good time management?
Having frank conversations with their teachers about what that could look like. Districts have, and Columbia Public Schools could provide some actual content on what this looks like. What does it look like to manage your time?
How will the transition be if you for some reason have to go back to virtual learning?
The benefit of being in hybrid would be that they would have at least gotten to have been in person if they wanted to be with their peers, with their teachers. They would have anchored their relationships a little bit more strongly in person. And then they would return, I assume, back to a learning model that they are relatively used to.
When CPS begins classes tomorrow, they'll join just about 12% of districts nationwide who chose the hybrid learning model. Now, those two experts I spoke to said that in order for hybrid to succeed in Columbia, parents, teachers, and students are all going to have to work together. Live in Columbia, Rachel Behrndt, KMU8 News.
Next week, MU will begin testing students returning back to campus for COVID-19. If students don't get tested before they return or soon after arrival, they won't be allowed to stay in university housing. KMU8's Rachel Behrndt talked to students who say the new policy helps, but doesn't totally ease their worries going into a new semester.
3,400 MU students living on campus will need to check getting a COVID-19 test off their to-do list this week.
I'm getting mine next Tuesday.
Students say they think the new policy is a step in the right direction.
I do feel safer.
I think it's a good safety measure.
But they're still worried about living in university housing.
So it's still a very real possibility and risk that we face.
MU students will line up here at the Behrndt Center to be tested on campus if they chose not to be tested at home.
Our goal is to turn these around very quickly as possible, so that we can make sure we have all the information and the student gets the information on their test as soon as possible.
MU expects up to 3,000 students to be tested when they arrive to campus. In the meantime, between arrival on campus and receiving a negative test, students will not be isolated from other students unless they're showing possible COVID symptoms. The university says it expects students to continue to comply with guidelines set last semester, but will not change their policy on testing. After the initial test, MU will only test those showing COVID symptoms, a fact that is frustrating to some.
I do believe that I'd feel a lot more confident and safe if there was a mass testing program where every student had access to a regularly scheduled COVID test.
Sure, the virus is gone after 2 weeks, but I just feel like it would be better if there was a second test.
MU says they'll continue testing symptomatic patients to ensure enough tests for those who really need it. In Columbia, Rachel Behrndt, KOMU 8 News.
Students living off campus and those in Greek housing like a fraternity or sorority house are not required to provide a negative COVID-19 test before they return. MU expects about 6,300 students to be living on campus come spring.